You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 234.1, the IndyCar Report with Dave Chanley. On this edition of the IndyCar Report, Dave Chanley and I recap the IndyCar race at Long Beach.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
I am here with Dave Chanley after the Long Beach Grand Prix on Sunday evening now. And as we are here talking about IndyCar racing, to prove that we kind of care about all of it, we're also watching sudden death of the Masters, Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy on the first playoff hole. So if you hear sudden outbursts, we're watching the golf tournament as we talk about IndyCar. And Dave, from the time the cars rolled off on Friday, this was Kyle Kirkwood's weekend.
No question. No question. I do think there's a couple things we need to point out before we go to the first place. I want to say hats off to Stingray Robb. Finished 9th. Kiffin Simpson.
Seemed like that strategy that those guys took on worked.
It did, and I, watching this thing, I was not sure. I wasn't sure how this was going to play out. I knew, okay, when there's 20 laps left, we'll know how it's going to feel.
And we did.
But
it really moved up Lundgaard and Stingray Robb and
Kiffin Simpson.
Simpson. I have the results here. By the way, amazing shot by Rory McIlroy has him in position to possibly win his first Masters tournament.
Yes, both have good birdie looks.
Right, but
Rory a little better.
Rory's is much preferable.
Yes.
Okay. Also taking with Santino Ferrucci
from dead last to 11
because of that strategy. Yeah, those Robert Schwartzman, Louis Foster, David Malukas all tried that strategy to some or much success.
Sometimes that determines a champion is when you can take a car from the back and you don't have a car to win, but you get some points. I think the disappointment of the day, not for me, but for him, would be Colton Herta starting second and finishing 7th. Would have to be a little bit of a disappointment for him. It just didn't.
He was the third fastest on the strategy that most cars win on, but he was beaten by 4 or 5 cars by a strategy move.
Yes.
And, Kirkwood and Palou were the only two, and they were just so much better than everybody else that no strategy was going to beat them. But then the next 6 guys, all went on the alternate strategy, and then McLaughlin passed Herta at the end.
Lundgaard got around Rosenquist for the podium, the last podium, and that's good for him. He had a good weekend until he qualifying. He was in the Fast 6.
He went hard, and yes, he was going to be, and he went hard into the
barrier.
Barrier he did, and I wasn't even sure they were going to be able to get a good car out there, and he finished 3rd. Yes. Rosenquist 4th for Meyer Shank. That program's coming along.
That Meyer Shank, and let's give again kudos to Schwartzman because that's Prima Racing, and that is just kind of a team that's put together as best it can. And Justin Rose just missed his putt. The door is open for Rory to win this thing. So we're doing 2 different programs for you here.
That's right. That's right.
We might as well throw in basketball. The Pacers are going to be host.
Yeah, that's right. And had the biggest comeback in the NBA all season today.
Yeah,
they were down 27 points. Yeah,
at Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland was playing even deeper into their bench than the Pacers were.
They were.
They had guys out there I'd never heard of. And Marcus Armstrong had a really good weekend until today, and he had a minor issue and ended up 14th. But he led a lap early in the race on that strategy as well. But both of the Meyer Shank cars were quite good today, or this weekend.
Yes, they were.
And they were both in the top 12, both in the top 8 on the grid.
I'm sure when you look at disappointments, Rory just won it.
Nice.
And Alexander Rossi has to be disappointed.
Pato Award, bad day.
And Pato Award, a bad day. And these are two guys that when we get to Indianapolis, they're going to be right in the hunt.
Just still double points at Indianapolis, right?
Yes.
It's double points on all ovals or just Indianapolis? I believe it's all ovals.
It might be.
Well, that's really cool because he's been so close for so long and then kind of faded. Really good to see Rory McIlroy win the Masters.
It is, and I was pulling for him at the last, and I'll tell you what, that was exciting, and it's just exciting golf.
Great Masters.
Golf
is something I do not watch except for the majors, and I'm in all weekend on the majors. You know what I mean? I barely even pay attention at the other times. It's like tennis.
Well, now you have named one of about 3 sports that I don't pay a whole lot of attention to is tennis.
Yeah, during the majors, though, sometimes I watch the entire 2 weeks when there's not much else going on in sports. So do you watch?
I watch a lot
week
of golf.
to week.
I watch a lot of week to week. I have my favorites. I like Patrick Rogers is an Indiana kid from Avon. Adam Schenk, who just missed the cut in the Masters by 2 shots. He's from Vincennes.
Well, we need to start the golf podcast with Dave Chanley as well.
and I'm always been a Ricky Fowler fan, so just because he's just a class act. But and there Rory is now hugging his little girl who made that fabulous putt on Wednesday that went viral. I don't know if you guys didn't see it, find it because it was absolutely phenomenal. But let's get back to racing.
Speaking of disappointing days, Joseph Newgarden.
Very.
I had picked him to win coming onto the weekend.
And I thought his strategy was good at first.
Seemed like it.
But also the whole Penske, the Penske garage has got to be scratching.
McLaughlin was 6th, so he had a pretty good day. And honestly, Will Power ended up 4th and 5th, and that was just a phenomenal drive. Again, second week in a row from the back to the front.
Yes, but they've got to be scratching their head because they're not qualifying well. There's something going wrong all the time. Speaking
of scratching their head, the Rahal team. Ooh,
yes. Yeah.
It is bad there. Graham Rahal was 22nd. Louis Foster, the rookie, was 16th. Devlin DeFrancesco was 24th. Really, really. Now that Lundgaard's out of that team, and he seems like he was the talent of that team. And I've always liked Graham Rahal. I like his style. Yeah. I like him. It just seems like the results aren't there.
They're struggling. And they're going to have to get it together, but Indianapolis is around the corner. But let's look at, and also the venue. Long Beach is a great race.
It is.
Last time at Thermal, I just struggled with that whole venue. It was bad. It wasn't good. It was bad. Good. But Long Beach has always been a great place.
And this was not an A+ race because the top 2 drivers were the top 2 drivers and everybody knew who they were. And from the beginning to the end, we knew it was going to be those 2. But there was some strategy in there. There was some good racing in the back. I would say it was a solid B race, but that venue is fantastic. The crowd was amazing.
It is, and this was the 50th year. Now, I'm going to just take a wild guess. I don't know, but I'll say that's probably the most consecutive races at a venue other than Indianapolis.
It is. Yeah. It's the 3rd most races ever run at a place because Milwaukee is number 2 there, but they had a couple of years, maybe 5 total, 2 twice and 2 another time maybe, where they didn't have races, and then they came back, and now Andretti owns it, so it will probably be there permanently, and it needs to be on the schedule. One of my favorite races for sure.
Oh, it is. And it's I've been to that track. It's nice. It's
I love it when it's the week after Indianapolis, and I really wish that they get back to that because it's such a great contrast to that big oval to that small oval. It was always so good when, and then the Indy champion would be there the following week, and everybody would be watching to see what the Indy champion was going to do the following week at the smaller track, and I really miss that. The transition to Detroit is...
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. So let's give Kirkwood his due.
Let's go back to Kirkwood real fast.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Does this mean Kirkwood is a challenger, or is he a Long Beach guy because he is good there every year? Was this just his week and he will fade back? Or is he a contender with O'Ward and Newgarden as they challenge Palou?
I am going to go on a limb and say he's a contender because he's with Andretti Racing. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about at Barber, which is the May 4th, or at the Indy road course, but I think at Indianapolis, all three of the Andretti cars, which will actually be four because Marco will have a car, they get it together. They're just good. They're good.
Seem to be every year, and even when they struggle in qualifying, they're there in the end in the race. It just seems like every single year.
Yes, I think there are teams that jump out at you at Indianapolis and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because it's an oval. Maybe it's because they get a little bit more practice time. There are a lot of factors in there.
Longer races favor the better teams.
Yeah. But, and Carpenter Racing will be back. They'll be good.
They'll be good on ovals, I think, yes.
But let's get, you said Meyer-Shank, great. Rosenquist and Armstrong is a good team. Kirkwood, let's give him his due. He won. He dominated. He led. And Palou was chasing him, and he couldn't run him down. And that's the top star in the show right now.
And really, as bad as the day was for O'Ward, the McLaren team continue, particularly in qualifying, just to ascend and be more consistent week after week at the front of qualifying with the Penske's, Andretti's, and Ganassis. It seems like there might be a fourth team to contend with those now.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't been quite ready yet.
Arrow McLaren is on the doorstep, without question. As we said, though, the one that's a head scratcher right now is Penske.
Yeah.
Now, they're going to be
a great start.
Indianapolis, but it's just not been a great start for them.
Yeah, it's not what you expect for sure.
No.
I would be very surprised if Joseph Newgarden isn't a contender by the end, and that Scott McLaughlin doesn't have 2, 3, or 4 wins by the end of the year, because that team's that good, and those two drivers in particular, and Power obviously is one of the all-time greats. I'm just not sure he is anymore.
I think he's starting to fade a little bit, but he got a car up today that probably that's as good as he could have done.
He's still a veteran driver who can get you good results. He used to win a third of the races, not a decade ago. He's not that guy anymore.
Let's talk about Lundgaard and Rosenquist, because obviously they had a great weekend. And Lundgaard, like we've already mentioned, he really was going to be in the Fast Six in qualifying and made his little faux pas, and it cost him. But he was there at the end. He drove a great race.
Again, we talked about how bad Rahaal's been. This is not a new thing. This team hasn't been very good for a couple of years, and Lundgaard was competitive with that team when the rest of the team wasn't. And now that he's with Arrow McLaren, that might be a real combination to watch.
That is a very good point, and I had never really put my finger on it that way, but I think you're exactly right, because obviously he's a talent.
And by the way, the series had never had a Dane until the last couple of years, and now has 2 with Lundgaard and Rasmussen from also is on a part of the Carpenter team.
Yeah, you know what? I love the mix of foreigners.
I do. I do too. And by the way, I like the mix now that it's a lot of Americans as well.
Yes.
It's a lot better when it's a good mix of both. We were at a time where there was one American contender, and it was Sam Hornish.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And now that we've got several guys, it gives fans somebody to root for.
Yeah.
If that's the way you want to look.
It's become a great series, just a great series.
Great series. And really, and step outside the United States, but Pato O'Ward has to be one of the most popular drivers on the whole circuit. And
Mexico, America, same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you go around Indianapolis, around race day or qualifying day and all the practice days, I mean, those people, Pato is popular.
Yes. And for good reason. He's a very likable young man.
Oh, the commercial. Have you seen the?
Yes.
That is that's the best commercial that IndyCar has done that I can remember. I like the three announcers.
I do too.
I like the combination there.
Lee
Diffie was fine.
Yeah,
I really like this. I think this group has some chemistry.
I don't think Buxton's anything special, but the two color guys are so good.
Buxton doesn't interrupt them. He lets them.
I don't know why Kevin Lee should just be the guy. He's so passionate about any car racing, and it comes out, and he does the next generation IndyCar, and he's really good at it. I don't know why they don't just let him be the main guy. He should be, but that's just me. Anyway, another thing I wanted to mention: 1 caution in 3 races.
Yeah, and
think back to a time when there were engines blowing all over the place in the 80s and 90s. That never happens anymore. You don't have those things anymore, mechanical issues.
No, and I thought of this in the middle of the race. I thought there has been no cautions, and all of these guys are really staying competitive with each other.
Yes, close racing.
Usually you start to stretch it out, and somebody runs away with it. And now, I'll tell you what, the onus is on the pit crews. They better have their A game, or they're not going to be a factor.
There were a couple of times today I said, "Oh, that's not going to work getting through there," and they did. And they're just so talented now. There is nobody in that series that isn't talented anymore.
That's true.
There used to be a few who bought their way in who just weren't quite good enough. I don't think there are any of those people left.
No, last year, the only one I had in question, and that at the Indianapolis 500, when Stingray Robb led several laps, I said, okay, this kid can drive. This kid can drive. And today, he did a great job.
The one I question now is Devlin DeFrancesco. He's had 2 chances with 2 pretty good teams, and the results just haven't been there.
True. I'll jump to Indianapolis again. I am going to predict right now one of the young bucks is going to win. Not one of the old guard veterans. I'm going to go with one of the young bucks is going to win this thing because they've been nipping at its heels for all this time. Now, of course, we still got 2 races. The next venue is Barber, and I like that. And
I like the wide open road race.
I'm tempted to go. My wife said, "Why don't you go?" Because I've got we got close friends that live about 10 miles from the track. So I said, "Well, I'll think about it." But yeah, that is it appears to be a great venue, and it's always been a good race. And then, of course, it's Indianapolis
for 2 races.
For 2 races.
And will you go to both of those?
Probably not, because I've already got plans. The 9th, 10th, I'm going to be at IU baseball, Purdue at IU baseball, both those days. Now I will be at Indianapolis for Fast Friday, and my granddaughter wants to go, and a bunch of us coaches will go, and we'll have a good time. I will go to Carb Day. Carb Day is fabulous, because they're all out there. It's almost like a race, and it is just fun to watch. And of course, I'll be at the race.
And if you go to the 500, you almost have to go to Carb Day to get get your spotter's eye ahead of time.
That's well said, because if you don't, and if you just go to the race, you're going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, who's that?"
Exactly.
And no,
and sometimes they change the paint scheme almost always. Change the paint schemes between qualifying and Carb Day because they add new sponsors once they're in the 500.
Yes.
And the cars, sometimes the cars change completely.
I've thought many times. I asked a friend of mine one time, I said, "How much would it cost to get my name just a little bitty on there?" And they said, "You don't want to know."
You don't want to know, indeed.
And I was like, I get you. I get you. But it is. I'm looking forward. This race is over. I'm just going to say, great race. Palou's still the point leader. He's going to be hard to chase down, but there's a lot of racing left to do.
If you were taking Palou or everybody else at this point, who would you take?
Oh my gosh. Well, Palou is good anywhere, any track he goes to. And Ganassi is good any track.
So you'd take Palou against the field?
Boy,
I would.
He's the guy to beat.
Well, I know that.
I'm still going to say...
Over 50% is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I'd say so. But the next guy in, look, I'm going to say Pato O'Ward's going to be right there.
He's definitely number 2 in mine.
Yeah.
Newgarden's still number 3 to me.
Yeah. He's one I call the old guard that I say it's time.
Even though he's still pretty young.
Yeah. I love Ferrucci just because of the way he drives. He's fearless. And
but he's not a contender.
He will be at Indianapolis.
No, I mean a championship.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm talking about championship.
The championship,
contenders.
yeah. Palou's
Kirkwood, would you put him 4th now, maybe? Or Herta?
Herta's in there.
Herta and Kirkwood are pretty close, I think, as teammates. I don't see any other true contenders. Maybe Lundgaard if that team gets it exactly right.
Yeah.
I just don't think McLaren's quite to a level of consistency that they can compete for the championship. If they do, it looks like Lundgaard might be that guy.
It could be. He's good. And again, it's funny. You mention somebody and I say he's good. Yes, they are. They're all good.
Yes, they are. I mean, I didn't even mention McLaughlin. That guy's consistent as can be.
Yes,
he's going to be a champion one day, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Do you consider him one of the young guns that could win it?
McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Yes.
You put him in that with O'Ward and
I do. I would rank them Palou, O'Ward, McLaughlin. I'd go out and Herta. I'll go out on a gamble and say one of those 4 is going to win the Indy 500. Now that's a crapshoot,
Absolutely.
It gets down to the last 10 laps of what's going. You have to have a perfect day, but I would give me those 4 and I'll give you the other 29. Now,
you know I'm going to put in that group for Indy, who's not in the young guns, who I think is going to have a really good shot, is Alexander Rossi.
I knew you were going to say that. I was looking right at his name.
With Carpenter's team.
Yes, with Carpenter's team, he will be a factor. You're right.
Especially for the pole, and once he gets that confidence back that he's one of those guys, I look for a big month from Alexander Rossi. And from his buddy Connor Daly. I think it's going to be a good, and Joseph Newgarden. Don't count him out.
I know
Marco. For those that Americans who are old guard now, even though they're in their mid-30s.
Yeah. Here we got 27 racers now, but we've got to add for Indy 500, and we can talk about this again after Barber.
Sure. Because
we still got Barber to go, and we still got the road race. But Marco's going to have a car. Elio will be in a car with Meyer Shank, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I'll look that up right now.
Who else we got? Ed Carpenter will be in one of his cars.
Always a factor, although the last couple of years he doesn't seem like he quite has what he used to have.
I agree. But if Alexander Rossi wins, he'll still be doing cartwheels. There are some others that will be in cars that...
Kyle Larson. Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Yes.
Will be in a car.
Yes.
Ed Carpenter, as you mentioned. Takuma Sato will be with Ray Hall Letterman.
Yes.
That's Marco Andretti, of course, with Andretti. And, Shank Racing is Elio. That you throw in 6 guys who have championship-level experience. You probably want to throw in Connor Daly in the mix there as well because he's always good at Indy. Don't think his team's quite good enough to win, but you don't want to count out Connor Daly at Indy. Man, that is a lot of...
it's a lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
A lot of experience. It's just an exciting time when we get to Indianapolis. It just is. But Barber's next. That will be... Okay, here's my prediction. Penske has got to step up by Barber. They've got to let people know, hey, we're still here. And Barber's kind of racetrack, I think, that will fit them a little better than I think Penske will step up. They'll step up at Barber.
They seem to be a step behind.
Yes, but I think that track is more suited to them than, say, Long Beach or St. Pete. They'll get it together.
All right, Dave, thank you so much for your time talking some IndyCar. Since the last time we saw each other, and by the way, these 3-week respites from the IndyCar series, they got to fix that. Of course, you're a Silver Creek guy. You were a coach at Silver Creek, but you live in Jeffersonville and the Red Devils, and of course, you know all the guys over there.
Yes.
Congratulations! What a job they did!
What a phenomenal job they did! And I think, in fact, maybe you, but I told some other people. They said going into that week, does Jeffersonville have a chance? I said, yes, they do. I said, Fishers may win that 8 out of 10, but you only have to win it one day. Jeffersonville was on top of it.
Kudos. The best player.
Oh, Singleton. He gets my vote for Mr. Basketball.
Where does he rank in Jeffersonville history, do you think?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one because you go all the way back to Mike Flynn, who was phenomenal.
You go back further than that.
Yeah, you really
guys
do.
Who played at IU. And
yeah, you do. But Flynn, Sharon himself, gosh, in between there were some great players.
Brian,
Greg Fry, but he was good. The guy left-hander, Wayne Walls went to Purdue. I mean, on and on. There's like 13 or 14 or 15 that have made the Indiana All-Star team, and Singleton will be on that Indiana All-Star team.
Oh yeah.
But I sure would have liked to seen him in a red uniform at IU instead of the purple one at Northwestern.
Same with the guy who's actually going to be Mr. Basketball.
Yes.
Would have been very nice to see him at IU. He really belongs at IU.
He does.
And it makes me sad that he will not be going there like it did Eric Montross in the middle of that. How many championships IU would have won, and he just would have been perfect for IU. But I understand the guy who doesn't want to play for Bob Knight.
I get it.
You know.
But Sharon Wilkerson,
basketball,
in my opinion, is coach of the year statewide. He just did a phenomenal job all the way around. And I'm not just talking about coaching on the floor. I'm talking about how those kids acted off the floor.
Great group of kids. We knew that from the time they were freshmen. That is a great group of kids. I've said it a couple of times for those people who don't know, because in Central Indiana they don't. Correct. That is a great group of kids, that senior class of who we've known since they were in 8th grade that this was coming.
It was coming. It was talented.
Yeah, coming off the Romeo at New Albany, Jeffersonville needed it.
Yes.
And they got it.
And kudos to Borden girls.
Thank you so much to Coach Chanley for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report once again. Love talking IndyCar with him. And thank you for listening. If you would like to see the Central Indiana Sports Report continue to grow and thrive, please share these segments with your friends and family. We humbly appreciate it in advance. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.